Let's cut to the chase and talk about the financial roller coaster we seem to be on. So, there's been a buzz on social media claiming the IRS raked in a whopping $4.9 trillion in taxes for 2023. Hate to break it to you, but that's not exactly on the money. The actual tax revenue for 2023 was $4.44 trillion, down from the $4.9 trillion we saw in 2022. Now, why should we care about this? Well, here's the kicker. History tells us that every time tax revenues take a nosedive, a recession tends to rear its ugly head. And surprise, surprise, our tax revenue has seen better days, dropping from $4.9 trillion in 2022 to $4.44 trillion in 2023. You see where I'm going with this? And it gets worse. The national deficit is ballooning because the government is basically borrowing left and right to patch up that tax revenue shortfall. Year-to-date borrowing is a whopping 133% higher than the same period last year. Brace yourselves because this increased borrowing trend is expected to keep on trucking in 2024, thanks to some anticipated economic challenges on the horizon. And speaking of economic challenges, there's talk about the Federal Reserve possibly diving back into the quantitative easing game. Yeah, it's like the economic version of pushing the panic button. Why? Because it means they're trying to inject more money into the system to keep things afloat. Now, let's talk about bonds. There's this bullish sentiment going around, but historically, that's not great news when interest rates are on the rise. Bonds and rising interest rates are like oil and water, they just don't mix well. So, caution is the name of the game for those of you feeling all warm and fuzzy about bonds during periods of increasing interest rates. But wait, there's more. We might be entering a phase where both inflation and interest rates are on the upswing. Yeah, it's a bit of a double whammy. So, what's the silver lining in all of this chaos? Well, history teaches us that there are opportunities to be seized during recessionary periods for making long-term investments. It's like finding a diamond in the rough, you just need to know where to look. And speaking of knowing where to look, strategic management of inflation is being hailed as a positive move for building wealth. It's like navigating a storm, you've got to steer your ship in the right direction. So, keep an eye on that inflation and make strategic moves to safeguard your hard-earned money. In a nutshell, folks, our financial landscape is looking a bit shaky. Tax revenues are down, the deficit is up, borrowing is through the roof, and there's this looming uncertainty in the air. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. There are opportunities to be seized, and with a bit of strategic thinking, you might just come out on top. So, buckle up, keep your eyes peeled, and maybe, just maybe, we'll ride out this economic storm with our wallets intact. Please go ahead liking, subscribing, and sharing with friends to support our content. The information is for general purposes, viewers should conduct research and consult professionals for financial decisions.